But I think that 0 to 50 is not enough, and I believe that not just Carbine can do it. They need to they need to acknowledge other players doing really cool stuff. I saw people doing like housing stuff live. I didn't know there was like 4 people in the chat on it. I saw a few people doing raids, but no real communication. But at least they were trying. I just think that Twitch is needs to be used a little more effectively.
Yeah, no,
and that can bring more people in.
That's fair. That is extremely fair. Demoose, I want to get your opinions on, in terms of bringing new players or even returning players. What is the best thing that they can do in terms of like lower level content, other than what they're doing for Drop 4?
Something that I haven't seen them market a lot with is the little things, like housing, for example. They talk a whole lot about PvP. They talk a whole lot about PvE. I don't see any real hard advertising for things like housing or the adventure plugs you can put on your house. If you really show that there's a lot more to go than just your basic PvE and PvP stuff, you're going to start getting the interest. I think you're going to start getting the interest of casuals like me, because you don't get more casual than me. I am the most casual person you will ever meet.
Okay, I mean, there's nothing wrong with casual, and I think that the term casual and hardcore is honestly stupid, because let's be honest here, all of us, including the hardcore players, are still all casual players, because we all have a life, we all have to pay bills, we all have other things we do outside of one particular game. So it's something that the term hardcore was really kind of referred to as someone that never goes outside and all they do is whatever. But you can't look at that as a negative thing to be casual, because that's what builds the game and keeps the game alive in the first place. So, I mean, if you look at it, a lot of the quote unquote hardcore guilds have left Wildstar, or left to come back, or merged, and the game's still alive. I mean, just them leaving didn't actually hurt anything. So it's something that I think we need to stop kind of using the term casual as some sort of negative thing on ourselves or to describe somebody else. Just because being casual is not a bad thing, and it doesn't.
I say it with pride.
Well, and damn right.
Something that we use a term we use a lot in Mog Nation is casual core. That's often how we describe ourselves, because we're all working professionals. So it's, time-wise, we're casual. But most of us work really hard that when we do play, we play very well. So that's where we see ourselves.
Yeah, I don't really do that either, but
I am both uncommitted in time and lazy. So
yes.
Is there a word for that? Lazarus? Lazy casual?
We've been talking about me and Moose doing his first adventure for I don't know what 3 months now. It still hasn't happened quite yet.
Adventure.
Wow. Oh, I'm in for that. I'll go with you guys on that. Let's do it.
I've yet to see a raid.
The Eclipse is complaining that we're not talking about PvP and whatnot. And honestly, Eclipse.
Okay, Eclipse. What more do you want to talk about, dude? We need to get more queue times. We need to get more people. We need to get more balance on it and more line of sight.
Because I mean, we've covered a lot of that stuff already. I mean, we can all agree that the balance of the game is not good. That the queue times are abysmal. I mean, I have waited 237 minutes for a queue time on my low-level character once, and I was just like, well, this is fun. So I mean, it's the amount of things that are wrong with PvP is honestly too many to list, and this show isn't really about like balance or talking about one specific thing wrong with the game. This is more of just, hey, the game's been out for X amount of months, let's talk about where it was and where it is now. So in terms of PvP, I definitely agree that the queue times need to be fixed. And I really think that Drop 4 is going to help, because we get the random rewards from PvP. So that alone will help you level a lot quicker as well. I have not actually made a level 1 toon leveled it to 6 to see what the actual difference is in terms of the XP. Has anyone done that yet? In terms of like the lower level dungeons queues and anything?
Let's just say it is absolutely miserable trying to start from the very beginning
It's been
now
a while.
because you basically can only level through quests. And so trying to get in PvP, trying to get in dungeons, trying to get in adventures is almost impossible. I mean, you're in zone chat and it feels like old school WoW days where you're just like, hey, does anyone want to do this one thing? And then you have like 4 out of the 5 people, and then that 5th person is just, you're just searching and searching, you can't find it. It's a horrible, horrible thing. It's making leveling so difficult and so much more painstaking than when we originally started because there just flat out isn't enough people.
No, I mean, I would definitely agree with that. I mean, it's really hard to kind of talk about PvP right now because everyone knows it's in such a bad spot.
Yeah.
And Carbine has specifically said that they know it's in a bad spot. Time Travel and Meerkat have taken over the 2 main aspects of PvP, and it's not fair to say anything about the game right now because we all know it's in a crappy place. So let's give it another 4 or 5 months and watch the new changes come in, watch things improve, watch things change, and then we can have a discussion on where PvP is at its current state.
It also didn't help that early on we had a bunch of people who were abusing the system.
Yeah, that sucked.
And my thoughts on PvP balance is that it's PvP in most MMOs is always secondary to the PvE balance.
Yeah.
Once you can get PvE balance, PvP follows suit, and you're able to balance accordingly. And right now, the content is focusing on PvE. A lot of us in this chat, or a lot of us in this call, or a few of us, I should say, we return to Battlegrounds, try to do open PvP, and there are just some glaring issues with balance on the PvE side, and that follows in PvP. My outburst a little earlier, I was like a little frustrated. It's just that there's not much to it right now. It's all fixing. It's all going to be fixed. It's just we gotta hold tight. And it sounds horrible, but MMOs have long lifespans, and going through a 4-month period of really shitty PvP when you're hopefully got a lifespan of like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years is worth waiting for.
I mean, the statement at the same time is that why should we wait? Well, I mean, like, yes, I get it that MMOs have a long lifespan, but the thing is, and something that I say on the podcast on a regular basis, that every day that new content or every day that fixes don't occur allows more other companies to come out with new content, better equipment, better stuff, and pull people away from their games. I mean, Krug's talked about playing Dragon Age. I mean, do you think he would have necessarily went out and bought Dragon Age and had been playing Dragon Age if things weren't already perfect? Not perfect, because that's an impossibility, but in a very good spot in Wildstar? I don't think so. I think he would have continued to play that game. And that's across the board. Every single time that they wait for 4 months or 2 months or 3 months to do all of the patch fixes or to do all that stuff in a drop versus doing weekly updates is just hurting the game. And it's not doing anything to help them. Yeah. And I think that's a huge, huge problem.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I also want to add, especially PvP people, I know a lot of people left because of the bugs, and the thing is, are they going to come back once it's fixed? Like, how are they going to bring back those players? There need to be like more advertisement for sure. And
Eclipse mentioned something like that in chat. Is there's no incentive to do PvP at the end game, and I would completely agree. That's one of my main reasons is I've really kind of stopped doing like the whole arena stuff, is because right now, what's the point? You get to 1800 and okay, that's cool. I get a title. I mean, if I like stay there constantly and just keep going, but it becomes a annoying, just kind of meh, because there is no incentive, there is no end game, there's no reason to continue PvPing once you hit a certain level. Also, there's a lot of problems, like there's not really anyone queuing to begin with. Me and my arena partner waited 40 minutes for a full week, and we just kind of gave up because we're like, okay, well, it's either we queue when everybody else queues, or when we do queue, we get stuck with 1,800 people who have been playing the game since day one, rush to 50, and are way better at the game than we are. And then there's that just really kind of small gap of gear, but it's still there and noticeable because they've had way more time and way more investment into the actual game itself. So I think that PvP right now is just not in a good spot, mainly because of the population. The population issues are just awful. I mean, I don't think anyone can disagree with the population just is not good, and it needs to be fixed. Drop 4, definitely going to bring in a lot of new player. But Nifty, you bring up a really good point in, will it be enough to bring back the old school PvP guys, the people that have been a kind of a beacon in the PvP community that said, you know what, I can't do this anymore. It's not worth my time. There's no reason to stay. So it's really hard to discuss the current state of PvP from a open mindset because we haven't really had anything good happen over the last since Drop 2. The communication with the devs has definitely improved, and that's step 1. Step 2 is actually seeing their actions plan out as the game kind of goes and matures. So that's really all we're going to talk about on PvP, because there's just no point about talking about it, because it's been talked to death on the forums over and over and over. So, Avid, you've been a little bit quiet, so I want to get your opinion on a couple things. In terms of Drop 3, what has been your most enjoyable content piece out of it so far?
Drop 3. Well, I mean, Omnicore 1 is enjoyable the first 1 or 2 times. The new zone, I don't know. I think I liked the Defile a little bit better than the new zone. The new zone is not. I don't know. Just dailies, man. Dailies kill me.
Yeah, no, 100% agree with you.
Yeah. So, I think Drop 3, just a lot of the bug fixes and stuff have been nice. And I did appreciate the new story and everything. But really, right now, I'm on a holding pattern for Drop 4.
Okay. Now, why is that? Just again, as a casual player that does not have the time to raid, there's not a lot of activity in the dungeons and adventures except for people going for attunement. So because there's no daily or weekly dungeon quests or adventure quests, so people that are in there are almost entirely in there for attunement, and that's it. So there's no real room for somebody to just kind of get in there and get their feet wet and splash around. So right.
I'm not very comfortable putting the time into that content. So, I'm mostly in there getting my rep up with the various factions to a certain point, but I've already kind of looked at the rep and said, it's only worth my time to do this up to a certain point, and that's all I'm going to do. Other than that, right now, I'm mostly just kind of figuring out the extra crafting that they added for Technologist, working on a couple alts, and, still just doing some farming and stuff to keep the plat rolling, and that's about it.
Yeah, also, guys, remember we're having a PvP Town Hall in mid-January, so just kind of keep that in mind. This is not the place to shit on other players because you think they're bad. Honestly,
so other players in. Oh, sorry.
Honestly, you guys, I will put up with you as long as I can. But if you guys start attacking people and saying that we don't know anything about whatever we're talking about, just because you think you're better than us for some stupid reason, because you have a higher rating or whatever, you can go after yourself. Because everyone's opinion matters. Everyone's opinion is kind of what counts. It's not just yours. It's not just a certain someone. The people that are being really, really childish in chat right now, this is your final warning. If it continues, I will ban you and we will move on. And I don't have any problem doing that.
So for those, my opinion, those guys that are in chat right now, there's that, he said, the PvP Town Hall. Put up or shut up. Show up there, be constructive, and be polite. And
definitely.
We'll see what we can get done with it.
And that's the whole point of a town hall, is to encourage constructive feedback. There really is no point in being an asshole, because one, the devs aren't going to listen to you because you're being an asshole. Two, the community is not going to really respect you, nor do they respect you in the first place if you have a history of that? So in terms of the community, which is actually another kind of good segue,